Welcome to Club Domingo, brought to you by Cyclone Comics.
Let's go.
Fuck.
It's gonna be one of those shows, kiddies.
I'm gonna offer my apologies from the outset because I am feeling very second rate and very mind foggy today. And we're taping Thursday morning for a Thursday night release. So
true.
I've got to do some editing straight because I've got to work as well this afternoon. So I've got to get this editing done around the edges of other stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay.
Hey, how you going? Hi, Tim. How you going?
Yeah. Great, Gary. Jazz hands.
As long as it's not jizz hands. Huh?
Oh no! Wow, your filter has completely fallen off today already. We're not even a minute in. Wow.
There's jazz hands and
jazz hands are okay. Gosh, we've gone from G to PG to like up.
Anyway, how you going?
I'm good, Gary. That was good. This is stuff we can't talk about on air, but like
what jizz hands? We can't talk about that on air.
It seems we can. But there's like this thing here.
Freeze frame.
Notes.
Freeze frame.
We just discussed long range plans. Come out of my head when I'm sitting in front of the television or under the shower or sitting on the train. So
is that there's that book that you would write notes in get wet when you make notes in the shower?
I try to hold on to the notes in my foggy brain before
you put the bag in a plastic. You put a book in a plastic bag, and
friend of the show. I shouldn't say friend of the show because he's probably never watched. But Jason Chatfield, friend of you and I, Jason Chatfield, who most of our watchers would probably know from doing Ginger Megs for quite a few years, the comic strip Ginger Megs. He actually bought. I don't know if they're post-it notes or a whiteboard, but a special like system that you can take notes in the shower because he knows that's where most of his best brainstorming happens.
Wow.
So he actually can write things down while he's in the shower.
Wow.
And have it there for transcribing later.
Well, that was one of the things I was going to broach as a subject today, as far as writing and making notes, is that I've over the last week I've signed up for a writing app that helps you with your, not only writing chapters, but, plot development and character arcs. And so you can make notes. And it's basically transferring all of my paper notes, which are everywhere, into a consolidated single spot.
Very cool.
And I've just finished setting it all up and I've started working in it. And it's really, really good. It's fantastic. And I won't say what the app is yet, because there's another couple that I want to try as well.
Okay.
And I found it so far with the werewolf story that I've been working on, really helpful to keep the content focused. And in doing that, I've removed a great big chunk of something that was there from day one to tighten everything up.
Yeah, great.
So, that saying of be prepared to kill your darlings when you're writing.
Yeah.
This isn't a darling, but it's like a main point of why I started the story in the first place, and I've realised that I don't need it anymore. That the story has grown beyond that initial thing that I wanted to do. Yeah. And so I was thinking, what if I remove that completely and I replace that with that, and that with that, and then all of a sudden it just coalesced to be a better thing that I'm working on without that original item that I was struggling to keep in place and to pay tribute to, and realizing that, hold on a sec, that's not the story anymore. That's not part of it's holding me back and making everything else seem clunky. So remove that, and all of a sudden the clunk has been removed. And I could only really find that, or I'm guessing that I could have only found that through using this online writing assistant. So it's not AI or anything like that. It's just a tool where you can input your files and upload your notes, and they're all there and ready to access to help you as you build a story and actually write.
Yeah, cool. Okay, well, I won't ask too much about the nuts and bolts of the software until you settle on one, and then
Yeah,
you can talk
yeah,
about
yeah,
that. But
yeah.
yeah, definitely in storytelling, often the germ of the idea is not going to be the story. It's just like it sparks the journey to get to a good story, and then you can
Yeah,
just
exactly right.
so
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
So you feel like you've got something a little bit more crystalline
Yeah, and
and
I thought I was set to go last week or the
yeah, yeah,
previous fortnight. I thought, I've got all the elements, I've got the plotted really well now, but in transferring all of my notes onto the online format into the app,
yeah,
it allowed me to sort of think, hold on a sec, what if I remove that, and what if I introduce this character here, and that character replaces that character, and all of a sudden it started to
yeah.
coalesce into this is much better,
Awesome,
So,
awesome, awesome.
yeah.
Cool.
And I know that happens, and it should happen, and it does happen when you're just working on note paper and post-it notes and all these other things.
Yeah,
But for me, it was like it's the first time I've used a writing app or writing tool app, and it's been quite educational. So
yeah.
so now I'm even more ready to jump in and draw stuff and get this story moving.
Yeah, cool. That seems to have shaken the cobwebs off you. You thought you were going to be a little bit off the air this morning, like you're.
That's all the energy I got. Over to you.
What was the reason you decided to start looking into software?
Because my method was getting too messy. There was notes everywhere, and some notes were repetitive, some notes were the same but about a 10% different idea, and there was no focus on I'm using that part of that, I'm using all of that, that is right, that's the current format there. It was just getting it was all over the place. So I've got pieces of paper and post-it notes and Microsoft Word files and Pages files and raw text files and notes that, like I wake up in the middle of the night and I do an audio recording on my iPhone going, don't forget that, Jack Keegan is supposed to say this at this time. And it was just all over the place. But this software allows me to, or has allowed me to focus a lot more. I didn't realize that I needed that much focus, but obviously I did because the story is better for it.
Brilliant, brilliant.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, yeah. I didn't know that was happening. That's amazing. So how long have you been using it for? A week or so?
Yeah, a week or so. Yeah,
Yeah, because it's actually because we're recording now on a Thursday, and the last time we recorded was Monday a week ago. It's been a while since we checked.
Been a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was buckling down to the next stage in starting to draw was to break down how long scenes were going to go for, and whether it's going to. And the thing that I wanted to find out was whether it was naturally going to break down into single issues, at 20, 22 pages, or whether, because I still don't know whether I'm going to release in print it as a single volume where issue breaks won't matter, or I'm going to release it as a limited series. So I just wanted to find out whether it's going to be easy to do it one way or the other.
Yeah, right. Yeah, cool.
So in doing that, in breaking it down, I realised that I was just got a wasp kung fu grip wasp swipe.
Wow, it's a little bit late in the.
Yeah, I think they're looking for a. Punched it in the head. Gary versus wasp.
Fabulous.
Anyway, that hurt. Anyway, what was I talking about?
God only knows.
I was all over the place, and in trying to start drawing, I was trying to coalesce and dampen down the plot so I could say, right, this is my first scene that I'm drawing, and in doing that, I realised that I needed to tighten up a few other things.
Yeah.
And they're in the hunt for software.
Yeah. So you were just talking about format, and you thought, will it be like a 4-issue limited series, or will it be a done in one and print it as done in one?
Yeah.
Which, with the Greener Pastures 2020s material, which Michael wrote as chapters. He thought he was writing it as issues, but that each issue was far too big for an issue, so he was kind of he quickly jettisoned that and just wrote these chapters so he knew what the chapters were. So by the end, we were just writing basically a graphic novel, not really a serialization. So at one point, I was thinking I was just going to draw the whole thing and release it as a chunk, but I'm definitely not doing that. I know that what I'm doing is probably bigger and will take longer than what you're doing. But for me, if I don't release singles, I will probably run out of puff. And
Yeah.
where do I get my fan base from?
Yeah.
So it's something to think about, like just trying to drum up the interest. People, even if you don't sell a lot of the singles, because people start to trade weight, but maybe you'll sell a lot of the first one, and then they'll go, oh, I'm sold on this. I'll wait for the trade.
Well, that's where I'm going to put it online. I'm sort of going to
Oh, that's true, of course.
serialize it online. So if people want to have a taste for it before they, because I've decided that I'm going to release a single book eventually after running it online.
Yeah.
And that I hope will serve the same purpose, or fill that gap of releasing single issues.
Will you release everything right up until the last page, or will you release everything and leave the last quarter of it saying, if you want to read it now, you'll have to buy it?
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of people that do it online and leave the last chapter or the last issue to be in the print book. So, probably not. I'd probably do the whole thing. This is how I think now. I might change my mind, but release it all online and just make sure that the print version, people will always want, but will have a lot of extras in it, so that it's worthwhile picking up in case they have read it online. But I think I think I've proven to myself over the years that running something online does not affect physical sales in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I still struggle with that. We've talked about that before.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's great. It sounds like a breakthrough.
Yeah.
And an energizing one, and something that's making the whole output going to be more efficient as well. So
yeah.
Great.
And this software, this app that I'm using, it's for writing prose, but I'm just using it as a comic structure, plotting tool. You can buy a lot of add-ons, editing services and things like that. So I'm just using the default service of, open up a blank page, plots, characters. They have already a skeleton structure of the 3-act play or the 3-act plot, which I'm not using. So you just shut all those down because they just get in the way. You can sort of this is all free, so you can outlay money for little add-ons that help you do this and help you do that, and all that stuff is, not. I'm using it as a basic tool, and even that it has helped a lot. So,
all right, very, very keen to hear your breakdown when you look at a couple more pieces of software as well. And awesome.
Yeah, so that's what I've been doing. Edging closer to drawing, but it's all for the good. It's all for the good of the project. And I think, boy, is it tight now. There are some things going on in there that I've got to tell you about when we're not recording.
Okay, great. Fabulous.
There's some good stuff. So it's good to, after such a long time of having the story percolating for it to still to be an exciting prospect, bodes well for the project and my headspace as well. So, I mean, if I was making all these changes and then realizing just as I'm about to start drawing it all that I'm not that interested in doing this anymore.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
It's a good sign that the interest is still there, and it's a story that I still want to tell. So the essence of the story is still there. It's just there was big, clunky add-on elements that were weighing it down, and I've just culled one or two of those away, and makes such a difference.
Yeah. You basically acted like a editor, like an external editor, looking at it reasonably fresh because of the way that you've inputted it all into a piece of software, and were able to look at it from that kind of different perspective.
Yeah. So all good.
And it's a werewolf story.
It's a werewolf story. And
so speaking of werewolves,
it's got Jack. Oh, speaking of werewolves, you want me to show those? Do you?
Oh, maybe there's one on the drawing board behind you, so it's sitting there.
Well, that's the first issue of Bodine's new thing called The Chronicles of Wolfen, and I just got some print proofs from Kelly, who kindly sent me some advanced copies. So all 4 have been completed, and there's the first issue behind me there. It features my my werewolf character.
There you go.
That's him there.
Right. Cool. Who's did that drawing? Is that Bo on the back there?
Yeah, that's Bo. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so kiddies at home, when Bo launches this on Kickstarter soon, you know that the work is already done and ready to go,
Done and
and they've
dusted.
already done test prints. So make sure you support that Kickstarter. That's brilliant.
Yep, yep, yep. So that's coming in a couple of weeks' time, I think. The first issue 1 and issue 2 is one campaign, and then issue 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 will be in a second campaign.
So Bodine's been involved in Australian comics longer than I have. Has he been involved as long as you, longer than you, or came in just after you? Like,
I think it'd be he rolled up to the Ugle Club, I think. So it'd be months in it, I think.
yeah,
From
amazing.
from when I met Tad and Glenn and
Yeah,
started going to the Ugle Club. I think Bo rolled up to one of the very first ones, and he's been around ever since.
yeah,
Yeah,
fantastic.
yes,
Yeah, wow. So there you go. Great to see that he's like still pumping it out. Amazing,
yeah.
fantastic.
And I know I talked to him a couple of days ago, and he's already working on the next series
After this,
after Wolfen. Yeah, he's yeah he's a monster. He's a monster.
he's in the box seat to decide to just publish something as a uh, collected volume from day one if he wanted to. Like that might be a good experiment for him to do.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
Wolfen, obviously he's already got the plans in place, so let's not throw them up in the air. But the next thing, which is another Nightside, I think, piece, if he gets that done, as quickly as he's been getting everything else done, he might be able to just publish it as a 100 page.
yeah. That's a decision that he can make. I think he does prefer the comic book in
Yeah,
floppy in the hand. Yeah,
yeah, we're old school.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, nothing like a floppy in the hand,
That's right.
and that's say no more. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Oh my God. Fantastic. All right. Brilliant. Well,
Club
there you
Domingo
go.
after
You,
dark. One
you
three
said
hundred Club Domingo.
you said you had nothing to talk about, and here we go.
Yeah.
Barely stopped.
So yeah, so that's me as far as what I've been working on the last week or so. Of course, yeah, it has been a while between recordings.
Yeah.
And since the last show, you've received copies of your volume 1.
Yes.
You've done the Geek Expo thing. Yes, there it is there. Yeah. That looks fantastic.
Thanks. Oh, I remembered what I was going to talk to you about. Remember it before we started recording, and I said I should have taken notes when I had an insight come to
Write it
me.
down now. Write it down now. Is it recordable or is it
It's
something?
about printing. Yes, it's recordable. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that you got receipt of your copies on the Friday before Geek Expo.
Yeah, yeah.
Then you went down to Goulburn on Saturday.
Yeah.
How did all that go?
Bongo. It was great. It was great fun. It's a very would you call it nowadays a mid-sized show or a small to mid-sized show? It's pretty small. It's in Goulburn, but the footprint is large enough. We just need more people through the door. But the footprint is good, and the quality of the people there, both comic book wise and just general artist alley wise, is good. So it's a good show. Need to try to get a catchment that goes a little bit outside of Goulburn, I guess, so that we can get some more people through the door. Because how many hours is it to drive there? It's a couple of hours to drive there and back, and so not far enough that we should stay overnight, but far enough that it's a number of hours in the car. So it was a good show. We had fun. We were sat next to we being Anne-Marie and I. We were sat next to Marcelo and Marcelo's nephew Tyson, who we got to meet. It's always great to be sat next to Marcelo. He's such a top bloke, and his nephew Tyson was lovely. So yeah, it was a good show, and we sold. So one of my concerns with the trade paperback is that it's $30 now to get the first 4 issues, basically. While before this, it would be $10 to get the actual first 4 issues. I'd sell the first 4 as a $10 lot because they're old and they've got a cover price of $2.50, etc., etc. So it's an easy sell when you say you get nearly 100 pages for $10. And then when you roll up and you say, if you want to start at the beginning of the show, at the beginning of the story, it's a $30 investment. but it was still our biggest seller on the table. Not many people walked away going, no, I don't think I'll bother. So I'm hoping that means that when we would normally sell X number of number ones or 1 to 4 packs, that we will now sell that many of these instead, because it triples the amount of money that I'll be getting. So we sell, I've told you before, I'll come back from a convention and I'll say, I brought a short box full of comics and now it's only half full, or only, 1/5 full. I've sold all of those comics, but they're all selling so cheap. So I'm hoping that means that we'll actually start to get a profit margin
Yeah, right.
when we go to a show, because it's a $30 comic instead of a $10 pack.
As far as weight goes, that printed product is quite light with the paper stock and everything. It's compared to using heavy, high gloss white paper and stuff like that.
Yeah. So the paper that I'm using, not that you'll be able to see it on YouTube at all, but is really beautiful. It's very matte, and people go, "Is that newsprint?" It kind of feels a bit like old school newsprint, but it's not newsprint. And if you go to someone like, I got this printed at Jeffrey's Printing. Where did I put that little book? If you go to Jeffrey's and ask for newsprint, he'll show you what they use for newsprint for digital. No, I don't know where I've put it. I had a little sample pack. And what is now newsprint for digital is actually not. It's really slimy, and it's extremely light. Like, it must be like 50 or 60 GSM, while photocopy paper is 80 GSM. And it doesn't look good, right? And it doesn't look or feel like my old school newsprint that the comics used to be printed on. So this is the closest to it, and it's better than newsprint. It's so nice. And the other difference is when you do digital printing on the normal gloss or satin paper, the printing definitely sits on top, and has a different amount of shine, right? The paper has a certain amount of gloss and the printing has a different amount of gloss, and I don't like it. And although this, if you look really closely, it looks like the printing is still sitting on top. It feels like it's soaked in. It feels like it's ink. And it's super black. It's so nice. So many people pick it up, and when they pick it up, they start to do this with their thumb, and they go, "Oh, that's nice." So it's great. And we've got like a matte cellular glaze on the cover, rather than the gloss cover. It just feels like that's nicer as well. So yeah, it was. The printing is amazing, and I love it. So Jeffrey's Printing all the way. So the thing I was thinking about last night, and I forgot to write down, and then it exited my head, and now I've just remembered it, is I had a great conversation with Baden when I went to pick up the comics, and we talked a lot about screen ruling, right? So we've talked about this before, you and I, because we talk about how high res we need to do the scans, and then how does it print out, et cetera, et cetera. So in the olden days, when you used to actually get your black and white photograph shot with a reprographic camera through a screen so that it gets the screen dots, right? You'd have to make sure that the screen ruling on those dots, that is how fine are the dots, was not so fine that it would clump, when you get to the printing stage, right? But also not so coarse that it looks bad. So newspaper printing was pretty coarse. Magazine printing was nicer, and like fashion magazine printing was even nicer than that. I just actually happened to pick up a book yesterday in the library at college that had a good example, but what page would that be on? So, I think from memory, screen ruling for a newspaper was it like 80 or 60?
That rings a bell. Yeah.
Yeah. So really coarse. While in a full color book like this, full color. Where's a colored page? In a full color book like this, the screen ruling there was like 150. So it's nice and fine. And that's where the rule of thumb of doing your scan of your photo at 300 PPI or DPI, that's where that rule of thumb comes from. If it's going to print at 150, screen ruling, then you double that and you should be fine, right? Um, so black and white photos don't have to scan so high because they're going to probably be printed much lower resolution or lower screen ruling, et cetera, et cetera. So I was thinking of that when I scanned the few photos that are in the trade paperback. Oh, I don't know where this page is. And then I got the the proofs back, right? So I've got those images in black and white, and I've got a little photo there of Michael and I from 1993.
Yep.
And I just remember, like, when I was printing it in my comics, like the screen ruling was pretty coarse and it was still clump up and blah blah blah. And I just didn't want that to happen. I wanted a nice printing here. And then when I got the proofs back, I was looking at it like as close as I could. I'm going, there is no screen. Because it's digital, there's actually no screen now. So whether it's black and white or color, but even, when you still go to the newsagent and buy a magazine, or a full color book like this, there is still, when you look up close at the photos, there's still a screen ruling there, right? There's still a screen.
Yep.
Unless it's digitally printed. And now there's no screen ruling. And how did I not kind of realize that? That's crazy. So it's basically, and I can never say the word, but basically that's stochastic. Is that how you say it? Stochastic methodology, right? So when digital film was first coming into print and digital plates were first coming into print, there was a VHS versus beta. Yeah, VHS versus beta sort of war going on, where most people were just doing screen ruling like we'd always done. So a digital version of the traditional way of printing, but they were trying to sell the stochastic way of doing things, which instead of having dots all in a row, right, it was more chaotic and maybe
small dashes.
You didn't have to worry about
random dashes.
Yeah, it was all random. That's right. It was completely random.
I've used I've done a couple of books with that in mind. When I was in WA back in the day, when that what was the name of that technology? Crystal raster, raster.
Yeah.
And that it wasn't using dots. It wasn't using the dot Moira alignment method, which is fairly traditional. It was crystal raster, which was random markings in CMYK that developed the picture. And apparently it was higher quality, but you had to have a special machine to be able to run it appropriately and special plates. And it was all, as you say, VHS versus beta.
Oh, it's funny you say WA, because talking to Baden about it, and I said stochastic or whatever the word is, and he rolled his eyes and put his head back and he said, "Oh my God, back in the day when you would get the salesman turn up at your printing plant trying to sell you that, and you just have to be polite and stand there for 30 minutes letting him tell you about it so you could just say, no, I'm not interested," because it basically didn't take off. And he said, it was very much based in WA for some reason. That seemed to be the hub. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And I said, is that basically what's happening now with digital? Is it there's no screen ruling? Like I don't have a loop here, which is like a little magnifying glass, but I'm sure if I looked at a loop, you wouldn't see the
continuous tone.
Dots. Yeah, it's more like continuous tone.
Which is why, again, it's important to make sure that your black areas on your photos aren't ruled black, because you're going to load up the page with, and there is a certain amount of fill-in weight with your solid blacks.
Yeah, exactly. You gave me that advice when I sent you a proof PDF, and you said, I don't know, those blacks, I reckon they're gonna, or those dark grays are gonna just clump down to black. And I think you were right. I kind of lightened all of that. So pretty amazing that, you're basically getting continuous tone now instead of the optical illusion of lots of dots close together. But
the old ways are going, Luke. The old ways are going.
That's right. The thing that it made me think, like on the drive home after that, is like I absolutely, I'm going to continue to do even my color work at a much higher resolution than 300 ppi, because we were just talking this morning, Emery and I, that I'm going to take this image and blow it up to like AO to take to conventions. There we go. How's that?
I see what you're doing there.
So I always have that in mind, that I'll probably blow it up and reprint it in another format. But again, future proofing and knowing that uh, the resolution now is almost
Yeah,
infinite.
yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So yeah,
Interesting, interesting.
like look at the black there. It's so
Yeah,
solid.
yeah,
There's
and
this
and
tiniest bit of shine on it, but otherwise, yeah, none.
and that is also Jeffrey's, doing the right thing, because there'd be a lot of printers out there that wouldn't give a crap
Yeah,
about the density and of black. Um,
yeah, yeah,
even
yeah.
I remember back in the day being told as well that for your halftone photos, you make sure that your black areas are running at about 80% of
80.
black
Yeah,
to allow for fill in. But at the end of the other end of the scale, you don't leave pure white as pure white. You put
yeah,
about a 5% minimum dot through there so that you
yeah,
can capture the lighter areas with a bit of information as well.
yeah, exactly.
Mm.
Especially since if they that's when you were doing it digitally, right? And you could do it with your histogram
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah,
but then they take that and they might output digital film. This is at the beginning of digital, but then that film is shot to a plate, and if they shoot it too heavy, then it'll blow out. And if they shoot it too light, it'll fill in. So yeah, you're still trying to battle that, but it's like there's almost none of that battle anymore.
yeah, yeah.
And I
Which
know
is
this is not new news, right? But it's part of that whole consolidation where you and I, as graphic designers, would send a marked up piece of artboard with CMYK markings and a workman, like not a workman,
tradesman.
a tradesman, yeah, would be able to do that perfectly in the film cutting room, and
Yeah,
cut the film and put it all together with rubylith and all of that stuff. And if you've got a good person to shoot it and to shoot the film and to shoot the plate and to have the ink density right, you get a great print. But
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that didn't always happen.
But it's always good to know why you do certain things instead of just doing it because that's what that website, dot point and how to get your photos looking good.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
why? Why are you doing certain things?
Yeah, yeah.
It's always good to know the background to it. Yeah.
Mm. So I'm really ecstatic about trade paperback. It looks amazing, looks great on the table, beautiful to read, easy on the eyes because it's a slight creamy color. Um,
And have you've been getting some good feedback as well?
yeah, a couple of people online actually yesterday because people are getting their packages yesterday and the day before. The non-remarked copies of I think have all gone out, so people are getting them already. Ben Bajarak, who's a Ledger winner, and John Hanna, and David Marler, they kind of all posted online, that they got it and, how great it looks. So that's really lovely. And Benji actually, did a photo of the paper. He said the paper, like he did a post just saying the paper. And then we had a little conversation, he and I, about Baden and what the paper is. And yeah,
Yeah. Right.
um, so yeah, actually, John didn't post it online, but John texted me because we talked about it. He's teaching at JMC where I teach, and we had a good chat on Tuesday about different things, including the trade paperback. And then when he got home that afternoon, it was waiting for him. And he said, "Speak of the devil, like it's there as well."
Lovely.
And
Yeah.
Bernard Callio sent me some amazing photos. And he's given me permission to share them online, so I'll do that later. Yeah, of him receiving, which is great. But speaking of John Hanna, who's just pumping out these manga-inspired comics constantly, always worth going to his table and seeing the new stuff he's got. And if you haven't got the old stuff, look at that as well. But the other day, was it a post or a story on his social media of him driving fast in a car? Did you see that?
I think I did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
continue on. Yeah.
it's his two loves is
Yeah.
comics and fast cars.
Which explains why he draws cars in comics and car chase scenes in comics so
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
they're the merging of his two loves.
So he goes to a racetrack. It seems like every so often. I don't know how often, and burns his car around the racetrack. And he had somebody in the car with him videotaping. So I kind of looked through the whole thing. And wow, that's it's pretty scary, but pretty exciting.
Yeah.
And I said to him, "How fast were you going?" Because he was doing this drifting, right? That thing where you go around the corner, basically sideways the whole time. Yeah, that's right. That's the way that you go down to the shops.
That's how I get up my driveway.
Exactly. Um, I said, so how fast do you go? And he said, look, I don't even know because I guess it's because you're just driving and making sure you control the car and you're driving on instinct. But he said because of the video, I could see the speedometer. He said, and in that really long drift, I was going at 160. And I said, you're going at 160 while you're drifting around the corner. That's not even on a straight. I said,
Wow.
I was going to ask you if I could come one day and sit shotgun, but there's no way I'm getting I'm doing 160 around the corner. So yeah, it was. But he knows what he's doing. They wear helmets and get proper strapped in, and but it's his car. It's not like a special car. It's his car.
Yeah,
And,
yeah. It seems little consolation having all that safety gear on if you drift and then all of a sudden roll. Uh,
yeah. Oh my
Still
God.
rolling, still rolling, still rolling, still rolling.
My head's okay.
Can we get out now? Yeah.
So yeah. So yeah, that's John. What a great fella. It's always great chatting with John. So yeah. I think he'll be at the Campbelltown Library Free Comic Book Day event coming up. So they do that just about every year, I think, at Campbelltown Library.
That's
So a number of people. I've already seen Queenie's going to that, probably Marcelo.
2nd of May, first Saturday.
First Saturday of May. Yeah, I'm not sure what the date is this year, but yeah, first Saturday in May.
I think it's the second. Because Bernard Callio, speaking of Bernard Callio, is coming down to Tassie to see some shows, some theatre shows on the 2nd of May. So I'm going to catch up with him. He's going to see the Doll trilogy. I don't know whether you know anything about the Summer of the 17th Doll.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ray Lawler.
Yeah.
And that was written back in 1955, a very famous.
Yeah. I studied it in high school.
Play. And Ray Lawler was commissioned in the 70s to write 2 prequel plays as well, using the same characters.
Yeah.
And they're very rarely staged together. And the Theatre Royal in Hobart is putting them on. So he's coming down with his partner to do a whole day of theatre, of seeing these three plays back to back, ending with Summer of the 17th Doll. And I would have loved to have gone, but I don't have the money for that kind of stuff. And
yeah.
So I'll catch up with him. And
so that's how you experience it. You see it 3 times, so you're going to read it instead. Good on you.
Yeah. So
it's a great play. I studied it in high school.
The thing that I don't like is that I think it would probably be best served to see the Summer of the 17th Doll first, and then go back and experience the prequel plays instead of in chronological order as far as the characters are concerned.
Yeah, I reckon you'd be right.
So the Doll trilogy is 3 plays: Kid Stakes, then there's Other Times, and then there's Summer of the 17th Doll. It's worth a Google search to get the basic gist of what that's about. Very Australian. They made a feature film, I think, in the 60s with Ernest Borgnine playing one of the main leads. It's only way to make it valid is to bring in an American. Exactly. And I think they shifted the location from Carlton in Melbourne to Sydney,
right?
Which I think was totally stupid decision. But anyway, So I'll see Bernard in a couple of weeks.
That'd be pretty overwhelming to try to watch 3 pretty complex plays in one day.
Yeah. I'm a bit bummed that I can't go see it because I've always had a desire to adapt Summer of the 17th Doll into a graphic novel.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for it to be a core of adaptations of into comics of great Australian plays. And starting off with Summer. It's a great story. I really love it.
Totally. It's funny you say that because there was a point, I think, we talked about the 22 panels exhibition a month or 2 ago. And around that time, I was thinking it'd be interesting to do a jam comic based on Summer of the 17th Doll, where somebody edits and decides how much of the play is on each page, but it means you could dole out everything all at once, get some character sheets and everybody gets all the information all at once. And then you'd have this jam comic of I don't know, maybe 150 different artists doing Summer of the 17th Doll as a graphic novel, but and then a great exhibition and blah, 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 blah.
Great idea. Great play. Great idea. I actually got in touch with the rights owner, the agent that was dealing with Ray Lawler. Passed away in 2024. He was 103 when he died.
Jeepers.
So I've been in touch with the agency several times about putting forward the idea of adapting his play as a graphic novel. And he kept on saying no all the time because I think he just was a little bit sus on the art form at the time. But now that he's popped his clogs, I might. No, what am I talking about? I'm doing a werewolf story.
Yeah, shut up. That's for somebody else to do. Get your werewolf on.
Yeah. But, like I have actually knocked on the door a couple of times and I've got the email exchanges here and put my presentation forward and my ideas for it. And nothing took. So,
did you do character sketches and
no,
shit like that?
I didn't go that far. I wasn't going to, I wanted to get some sort of initial interest first before I went back and, invest time, knowing that it was going to be a huge project. So I just wanted to say, get some sort of initial interest, and I would have been happy to work with him, but he obviously, at 100, and it would have been in 97, 98 when I got in touch with him. His age, that is, not the years. But 103. He lived a very, very good, robust life.
Amazing.
So anyway, highly recommended for someone to either go see the play, Summer of the 17th Doll, because I think it stands by itself supremely, or buy a print version and have a read. It's a great story.
I wonder if that production might travel. It'd be amazing if it traveled to Sydney. I'd love to see that. Yeah.
It would be good. But anyway, so Bernard's coming down in a couple of weeks. So I'll get in touch with him and I'll live vicariously through his experiences of seeing it live.
Yeah. It's for I know that we're here for comics, but as a writer, it's reading plays, I think, better than reading film scripts. Seeing and reading plays is great for writers because it's just so dialogue driven and character driven and
that's right.
And so kind of concise because a lot of the time it's one or two sets and so kiddies at home, if you're not somebody who sees plays, like a lot of modern plays are pushing the boundaries, which is what we all try to do with comics as well, and blah blah blah. It may not be to your taste, but a lot of the more traditional plays are actually so good to go and see. Like we saw The Importance of Being Earnest like a couple of years ago. Just hilarious. It's so good if you get the right actors, and they're just amazing.
And live theatre is an amazing experience anyway. Even seeing something like the Rocky Horror Show, it's amazing seeing it live. And the fact that something could go wrong, but it doesn't. It's great entertainment. That really interacts with the audience. It's a very visceral contact with the audience seeing something live.
So shall we talk about the live stage stuff that I saw just recently? I guess we'll segue
you can segue into that.
We So Anne-Marie's, I think probably one of her top three musicals is Phantom of the Opera, and it's being shown on Sydney Harbour at the moment. So I told our neighbour, that we saw it on Sydney Harbour, and she said, "Oh, so at the Opera House?" I said, "No, it's outdoors. The stage is floating on the harbour, and that's where you see it." So yeah, it's pretty amazing to see it in that atmosphere, because again, there's more constraints, and it's a weird kind of atmosphere. But there was a point when we were watching it. It was last Sunday night, and it never ceases to amaze me, whether it's live musical or live theatre, how they force you to zero in on a section of the stage as if it's composed for screen. Like it's like, how do they do that? How do they? I can see a composition in my head, even though my peripheral vision see everything. I can see the composition that they've asked for there of somebody who's like in a very different position, So, but yeah, the musical was great. It's not my favorite musical. In fact, if I never see it again, I'd be much happier if Anne-Marie took somebody else next time. But it's a really nice production, and the costuming is incredible, and the set is really interesting. The way that they run it, and because it's outdoors, there's 2 points in the musical that they actually set off proper in the sky fireworks as part of the story. Wow. Yeah. And that's really cool because it's a very populist piece of work, right?
Yeah.
There's people there that may not see any other musical for the rest of the year, or for the next
Except for Cats when it comes back.
yeah, you know, that kind of thing. So, so for people like that, and for people like me, who's kind of going, this is okay. It's not my favorite musical, but it, you know, I enjoy it for what it is. But then fireworks go off, you go, yay! So, so yeah, it was good, and it was freezing cold, but at least it didn't rain. But it's like. If you know Sydney, the Botanic Gardens, you know, from the Opera House, and it comes down like in a bay, and then up towards Mrs. Macquarie's Chair on a point. So that piece of land, that peninsula is coming up to Mrs. Macquarie's Chair. About halfway along that is where the stage is. So just beyond it, you can see the Opera House and the Harbour Bridge, etc. So that's kind of where it is. But it's on that like walkway that if you were walking along the waterfront, you'd be walking along those beautiful sandstone walls, etc. But we had an extraordinarily high tide on Sunday night, so the tide was actually higher than the base of the wall. So the little holes in the base of the wall that are meant to let rainwater into the harbour was letting the harbour onto the walkway where people were standing and sitting.
Wow.
So the front row in a couple of places were being told, if you're concerned about your bags and your feet, we can actually put you somewhere else. But the tide will only be this high for maybe 20 minutes or so. So it was like the water was coming in, splashing in front of us as we were watching.
An immersive experience.
Absolutely, yeah. So it was good fun. So immersive that as we were leaving, the walkway from the floating stage, you know, onto the land and then into their dressing rooms, we passed the walkway and we had to stop for the whole cast to walk past us to get into their change rooms. So yeah, it was incredible. Yeah. So it's, you know, somebody like me who I don't think Phantom of the Opera is the exact right thing for me to see terribly often. It was a great experience for all those other reasons as well.
Yeah, yeah.
And a great chocolate choc top. To top off the evening.
Yeah, the only Phantom story I've got to tell, I was lucky enough to get to see it with Mike Grell in LA with Michael Crawford.
Anne-Marie would kill you to do that. She'd love to see Michael Crawford in that part.
It was fantastic. And who was the original female lead?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
I know the Australian female lead was Marina Pryor, but there was someone else, and I've forgotten. I have to do some research.
Are you sure it's not Marina Pryor? No. She's the Australian. No, the English woman who was the partner of Andrew Lloyd Webber was written for her basically.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So that was
she the female lead at the time you saw it?
I don't remember. I think there was one stand-in. Michael Crawford was the Phantom, but I think there was maybe a stand-in for another major character in it. And it could have been a lady. It could have been a female lead.
Yeah. No, but Michael Crawford, what an incredible voice.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and of course we were running late, so it was like chaos in LA trying to get parking, and then you know.
Oh, you saw it in LA, yeah.
And I think we might have missed the first couple of minutes of the show, and I think it was up to Mike to sort of coerce us, because there would have been a shut door policy when it started, and it would have been but these guys have come all the way from Australia and we couldn't find parking, and you got to let us in, and we eventually got in though. So
who's we? You and Grell, and who else?
I think my partner, my first wife, was with us, I think, and some friends of Mike's.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, fabulous. What a great night.
Amazing. It was a matinee. It was a daytime show.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's my Phantom story.
Wow. Yeah. Before we hit record, you said, "Oh, you can tell your Phantom story." I'm going, I don't have any Phantom, like comic Phantom stories. Like, what's
the other Phantom?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Wouldn't it be great to do a Phantom story of him being the Phantom? Like the purple guy, but with half a face mask on. And
that's right.
The jungle of the opera. Yeah.
We're it's the crossover we're all clamoring for, I'm sure.
Anyway. Okay, so that's good. Geek Expo tick, Phantom tick. Summer of the 17th doll. I'm pretty much done, except for reading out Lauren's email that she kindly sent us during the week.
We should definitely do that now. Anything I've got is
okay. Well, you keep on talking for a little while I set up the email here.
Okay. Here's a little thing for people. If if you're interested if you're the kind of person who likes to send or submit comics to literary magazines, the Suburban Review that's been going for ages, issue 42, the theme is noise, and they're actually looking specifically for art and for comics on the theme of noise. So look up the Suburban Review and see if you've got some comics or you want to do some comics on the theme of noise to put in the Suburban Review. I haven't done the research. Don't ask me to do the research, but I'm pretty sure that they'd pay you for that because yeah. Are you telling me to shut up? You're waving for a reason, or
No, just jazz hands.
all right, okay. So yeah, the Suburban Review. I've got that Your Music Sucks Man short story, and I might send it to them and see if they want an old Green and Pasture story, or whether or not that's too opposed to a literary magazine's kind of idea of what they were kind of after. But I'm worth sending.
Okay.
And I'll carry on for a moment while we're talking about literary things. Lilay's Canon comic book, which is sitting here because it's the next thing I'm going to read, has been shortlisted for two things. It's been shortlisted for the Carol Shields Prize. I'm not exactly sure what that prize is, but everything else that's been shortlisted are proper books from the look of it. That's I think that's a Callioism, isn't it? A book versus
a comic book.
Comic book. So yeah, this comic book is being listed along with the other books. Yeah, but also I think would excite me more. It's not as if my books will ever be involved at this level, but it also been listed for the Stella Prize for this year, and that's a pretty big prize in Australia, the Stella Book Prize. So. Well done to Lilay there. Fantastic.
More power to them. I hope they go from strength to strength.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Like a couple of shows ago, just sort of introducing the whole Lauren thing.
Yeah, the whole Lauren thing. Have we got time for the whole Lauren
thing? We were doing birthday wishes, and she shares my birthday, and this is a couple of weeks ago now. And we were talking about her graphic novel that she's working on and how she's presenting it. And we said, we don't know what she's doing because we haven't talked to her about it. So, Lauren, if you're listening, send us all the info. And she sent us all the info.
Yeah.
I've got an email here.
Because we were watching, pages appear online and, she worried about spoilers and, is she going to show everything? And does she do lots of pencils and then lots of inks and then do the color? Or is she doing one whole page at a time? We were talking through like process. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you don't mind or the kiddies don't mind, I'm going to read her email. And it's titled Process! ! So she goes, hello, I love listening to you two. Always a good laugh and even better insight. Wink. Okay. Thank you very much. Now, look, not too far off from what I'm doing. My brain is one coffee away from self-combusting. So I try not to box myself into any kind of process. This is about how she approaches her work and with this graphic novel in particular.
Yeah.
What feels right on the day is sort of how I work to create the best magic, if that makes sense. If my drawing feels good and natural, I'll focus on that. If writing feels more my vibe, I'll jump on that. Thalson, which is different how we pronounce it, which is the name of her project, Thalson, Thalson is currently sitting at 130 pages. Wow, that's a big project. Just tweaking the last few pages of the script and making the last chapter quite oomph compared to the others. My idea process-wise was to not be afraid of changing things even after sharing them, like the recent prologue pages. I've already made changes to the dialogue, etc., but I wanted to continue to share the changes, first iterations, etc., so that people following along can see that making comics isn't always a straight road. Mistakes are good learning points. It's okay to bend, shape, and change when it feels like it fits better. Don't I know it? We're just talking about that as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Emotional investment of how the project progresses and morphs. See if that creates a stronger interest in the project. But the prologue is the only sequential chunk I'll be sharing. From now onwards, it'll just be little teasers, etc. Our mate Spedsy is editing the script for me, so no doubt he will crack the whip on my stunted writing skills. I'm great with ideas and beats, but the intricacies are where I lack. So she's getting help and assistance where required.
Yeah, cool.
Great job on the podcast. Way more consistent than I am. Much love, Lauren. Because she's the host.
Lauren has her own podcast as well, Sketchbiz.
Yeah.
To work backwards through that a little bit, that whole thing where she's getting Spedsy to help because she doesn't feel that confident with intricacies or details, and she's good. She feels more confident with the bigger picture stuff. That was Mike Mignola with his first Hellboy
Oh,
limited series as
yeah,
well.
yeah,
He
yeah.
got John Byrne to do the dialogue on that because he thought he probably couldn't handle that himself. And so I think that was just like for the seeds of whatever that
Production.
first.
Yeah.
Yeah, Seeds of Destruction, the first series that he did. From that point on, he took off and felt
Yeah.
more confident.
And
So
I'd
yeah, you're
say
in good company there.
in a corporate environment, that's where the editor comes in to be able to,
Absolutely. Yeah.
workshop and hold hands when the writer or creator is having problems.
Yeah.
You don't go to there, you go over to your editor and you discuss, because the editor should be as much across your project as you are.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, thanks, Lauren, for that. And if anyone else wants to drop us an email about process or about anything else, what's our email address again?
That would be clubdamingo@cyclonecomics.com.au.
That's right. That email again.
Clubdamingo@cyclonecomics.com.au. That's Domingo with an A.
That's right. Yeah.
After the D, before the M, not at anywhere else.
Even Jason Paulos has got that right with all these Flash Domingo drawings he's been doing lately.
Isn't that the best form of fan art when somebody goes like, here's like the front cover of Flash's own series, which doesn't exist, but like, let's go. That was amazing.
Yeah, right.
I love that.
Yeah. It's very Jason though, very Jason.
Yeah, very cool. That was on the social medias, everybody.
Yeah.
So that was good insight from Lauren. I appreciate that we saw that. So Lauren's very much going, because there's big picture writing, detail writing, layouts, pencils, inks, colors, letters, whatever it is that she feels like she's in the best position to do today, she does that and puts that best foot forward for that day. I think it's a great thing.
And I think when you've got a big project like that doing something on it, just baby steps will be better than doing nothing at all. Not to be daunted by the project ahead, but just grab something and do something to push it forward.
Yeah, cool. And how many pages?
130 she's aiming for.
30. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, so not a small project, that's for sure.
Yeah, cool. Well, more power to you, Lauren. Let's get it on. We'll see it.
And that's her own project. She's obviously doing other things as well. So there's
exactly.
a need to be able to stay in the zone and to be able to enter that project space again and be able to pick up where you left off.
Yeah.
And not lose momentum. There's that word again.
Yeah. I think she's still doing like Morris and the Metal for another issue at least.
I'm not sure, but like she's doing covers and she's a freelance artist as well. So she's a mum. So lots of distractions. So when you put the graphic novel hat back on again, you need to be able to get your pace back up real fast and get in the zone.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, fantastic. That's great. Well done. Cool.
So that's me done for talking points. Have you got anything?
A couple more little things. The first one being, you remember Jeff Morrell, who was the one of the main characters in the Greener Pastures short film.
Yep.
So we have 4 actors in that, and he was one of the 4 actors. Jeff Morrell, Logie Award-winning, amazing actor here in Australia. He's got an exhibition at the moment in Redfern here in Sydney at the Revolve Gallery. If you look up Revolve Gallery, you'll find it, which is a really nice exhibition. It's actually quite nice, interesting work. And Anne-Marie and I went and had a quick look. On the opening night, we thought we would pop in and say good day. And he was lovely. He remembered us and had a chat with us and everything, which was great. But more.
Why would he not remember you?
Oh, because because I'm nobody. But more to the point, he's also in like there's a word for it, but like a band, a country trio, but it's like modern kind of country sort of thing. I should have written down the names of another actor who you would recognize if you saw his face, because he's a very much a character actor in Australia for probably 40 years as well.
Oh, okay.
So he's in the band.
Chris Hargraves.
No, not Chris. Don't go listing them all.
Brian Brown.
He's on that Amy insurance ad about the lucky country. And anyway, so So it's the two of them and one of the Oxley brothers. Two of the Oxley brothers were in the Sunny Boys, which is like a astounding Australian rock pop band from back in the day. But Tim Oxley was the younger brother. I don't think he was in the Sunny Boys, but he's also got a music career. So that's the three of them, and they're playing at the gallery on Saturday on
Right.
Anzac Day. So I think Amber and I will probably go to that. I've been hoping that they would do a little tour because they've got a recent album. The album's on Spotify. So the band is called the Number Four Band, four as a numeral, the Number Four Band. So look that up on Spotify if you want to get your banjo on and stuff like that. So that's cool. We might go to that on Saturday in the middle of the day. It's not even a late gig. It's from midday or something.
Right. That's good. That's good.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. And the other thing I wanted to bring up, and this is kind of oldish news, but did you know that Tintin or the initial early version of Tintin is in the public domain now?
Yes, I'm aware of this.
Yeah,
Yes.
right. So
Yeah.
there's been somebody's done a comic because Tintin and Popeye both ended up in the public domain at around the same time. So someone, I think it's a European, has done a comic called The Big Lie, which is kind of Tintin in modern times, and maybe a little bit more grown up, and Popeye. And I don't know, I don't know much about the plot, but I thought that's kind of interesting that people are now like taking that on and using Tintin as a satire, and not like those people who like all more power to them, but those people who took the uh, what's the I think even Popeye, they made like a horror movie out of Popeye because
Oh,
it's in
right. And Winnie the
uh,
Pooh
Winnie the Pooh, made that.
as a slasher film or something.
That's
Yeah.
right. So
Yeah.
there's all of that, but to try to take the characters more at their core thematic character and do something new and interesting with it, which
Yeah.
probably hasn't been done with Tintin since Hergé finished. So yeah,
When this copyright notification or timings keep on hitting the mark, that's that iteration that goes into the public domain.
yeah,
So the Tintin is in the land of the Soviets, I think, or
yes,
in the Congo. That,
yeah,
that iteration of Tintin may be in the public
yeah,
domain. So if there's
yeah,
any progression or new characters added to the concept, like who was the opera singer?
yeah.
Uh,
That one.
any of those characters that were invented for the later graphic novels can't be used.
Yeah,
So you've got to stick to the
yeah,
iteration that is gone public domain,
yeah,
which
yeah.
is
And
interesting.
I think even that kind of style, if you're going to use that era of Tintin, you can't be drawing him in the later Hergé style. You have to be kind of drawing it within that style. Otherwise, you start getting into trouble.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, I thought that was interesting. Someone's published like a well-regarded original book featuring Tintin and Popeye. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay. Got anything else?
I reckon that'll do me.
That's enough for the kiddies to chew on for a week.
I reckon. Cool.
Okay.
That was great.
Let me set up these exit buttons before we say our goodbyes.
Do they disappear or something, do they?
They do actually. There we go. Yeah, all set for our goodbyes now. Okay. So thank you everyone for putting up with my stupid delivery of everything today.
You were awesome, Gary, as always. No worries at all.
Okay. So you say your goodbyes. What's our sayings?
More comics more often. See you, kiddies.
Get amongst it, Chal.
Get amongst it, Chow.